The courtroom echoed with laughter. A 9-year-old boy in an oversized suit stood trembling beside his mother, his tie crooked, his shoes too big, his eyes too brave. They said he didn't belong there. They said the law was no place for a child. But when Malik Thompson opened his folder, silence fell. Because in that moment, they didn't see a boy. They saw something else. Something powerful. And by the time he finished speaking, the same people who laughed couldn't even look him in the eye. Before the laughter, before the courtroom, Malik Thompson was just a quiet boy from the East Side. He lived in a small, one-bedroom apartment with his mother, Tanya, a woman who worked double shifts at a diner just to keep the lights on. Life had never been kind, but she taught Malik to believe in fairness, to read, to question, and to dream bigger than their circumstances allowed. Every night, when she'd come home exhausted, Malik would be waiting with a stack of law books. Not fairy tales, not comics, actual case studies he found at the public library. His fascination began the day he watched his mother cry in front of an eviction notice she didn't deserve. From that night on, Malik promised himself he'd understand the system that broke her. Weeks later, Tanya's boss, someone with influence and arrogance, accused her of theft. False charges. No lawyer would take the case without money up front. So she stood alone, terrified, in a courtroom that already decided her fate before the hearing even began. And then Malik walked in. In his oversized suit, clutching a folder filled with notes, he asked the judge if he could speak on his mother's behalf. The courtroom burst into laughter. Reporters smirked. Even the bailiff shook his head. No one knew that the child they were mocking was about to turn that courtroom into a battlefield. They'd never forget. Malik's tiny hands gripped the edges of the oversized folder, his knuckles white but his eyes steady. The judge leaned back, smirking, clearly expecting a child's stumble. The jury whispered among themselves, and the gallery leaned forward, curious, entertained. They all thought this was a show, but Malik opened his folder and began, slowly at first, then with unstoppable clarity. He referenced federal law, case precedents, and even highlighted inconsistencies in the judge's past rulings. The courtroom's laughter faltered. Whispers turned into uneasy murmurs. He pointed to documents, publicly available filings, and emails showing the judge had connections to the very company accusing his mother of theft. He explained, with an innocence that cut sharper than any lawyer's argument, how the law had been twisted against ordinary people like his mother. The prosecuting attorney tried to interrupt, scoffing, "This is a child. He cannot possibly understand," but Malik ignored him, flipping pages, citing statutes, and speaking with a confidence that belied his age. The courtroom leaned in, sensing something monumental. Even the bailiff, usually stoic, glanced at the judge with surprise. Minutes turned into tension-filled hours. Every point Malik made chipped away at the arrogance of the court, revealing cracks in the system that had seemed untouchable. His mother, sitting silently in the gallery, felt a mix of fear, pride, and disbelief. The laughter had stopped. Now there was only silent astonishment at the boy who had turned the courtroom upside down. By the time Malik rested his hands on the folder and looked up, the judge was sweating, the attorney scrambling, and the entire courtroom realizing the child they mocked was not just speaking for his mother. He was speaking truth to power. The judge's confident posture faltered. Malik, barely 9, had laid bare every hidden connection, every unethical shortcut, every whisper of corruption. The courtroom, once filled with laughter, now buzzed with stunned silence. He held up an email chain, evidence no one had expected a child to find, linking the judge directly to false accusations against his mother. The gallery gasped. The attorneys exchanged nervous glances. Even the bailiff's eyes widened, realizing the magnitude of the moment. Malik's voice remained calm but unwavering. "The law is not meant to be twisted for power or wealth. My mother deserves justice. The truth deserves to be seen." The judge, caught completely off guard, tried to respond, to regain control, but it was too late. Every smirk, every dismissive glance, every whisper of mockery had been shattered by the pure force of knowledge and courage. From a boy no one took seriously. In that instant, The court realized the unthinkable. They had been outmaneuvered by a 9-year-old. The arrogance that had ruled the room evaporated, replaced by awe, fear, and a grudging respect. Malik's mother wept quietly in the gallery, her hand clutching his, understanding that in her son, she had found not just hope, but a champion. By the time Malik stepped back, the judge's authority had crumbled in a way no adult lawyer could have predicted. The room had witnessed more than a legal argument. It had witnessed brilliance, courage, and the power of truth embodied in a child too young to be underestimated. When the gavel finally fell, it was not just a sound, it was a symbol. Malik's mother, Tanya, was cleared of all false charges. The corrupt judge faced scrutiny from higher authorities, his power shaken by the insight of a 9-year-old who refused to be ignored. For Tanya, the relief was overwhelming, but the pride in her son was immeasurable. She had raised a boy who didn't just dream of justice, he knew how to claim it, even when the odds seemed impossible. The community, once skeptical of a child stepping into a courtroom, now saw a hero in Malik. His courage inspired not only his mother, but everyone who witnessed the power of knowledge, preparation, and unwavering integrity. Malik returned to his small apartment, books in hand, but nothing felt small anymore. The world had changed around him, if only slightly, and he realized that age and size were never barriers to truth. Every step he took in that courtroom reminded the city and the viewers of his story, that justice is not the privilege of the powerful, but the right of the brave. And as the doors of the courthouse closed behind them, one question lingered in everyone's mind. How many more Maliks are out there, ready to stand up and expose the truth, even when the world laughs at them first?